My name is Andy Coy, and I would like to welcome you to My Trucker Pro's first podcast live event. Today's podcast focuses on insurance for our industry. All of us at My Trucker Pro take pride in great deals and on goods and services for the transportation industry, as well as our network platform that allows members to connect and communicate and grow their businesses. So with that, I'd like to pass the microphone on to Derrick and Josh, who will be hosting today's event, along with our panelists, Ed Jackson, President of Bass Underwriters, Russ Anno with Bass Underwriters, and Jerry Dunn of Dunn Insurance. Thanks again for joining.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. Yeah, super excited to be here. So my name is Josh Hannaberry, the host of the Truck Focus podcast. And a big part of my mission is connecting industry leaders, just like the three panelists we have here and Andy, to industry to help create a pivotal change. And why I'm super excited for the event today is insurance impacts every carrier, basically any organization within industry that has wheels on the ground. And when you can ask questions to the experts that really know your business and how they can use their services to impact your business, I think it's a really good opportunity to learn, but also to maybe change how things are done within your own organization. So super excited to be here, and thanks again.
Yes, my name is Derrick Williams, the host and owner of the Trucking Entrepreneurs podcast. First, I would like to thank My Trucker Pro for allowing me to be a part of this great live event. As I say, this is our very first one. I really appreciate you all inviting me to be a part of it. And as far as myself, our mission, as far as the Trucking Entrepreneurs podcast, is to shine a light on entrepreneurs in the trucking and logistics industry by providing them a platform to showcase their entrepreneurial journeys, their services, and products that they offer. I'm also excited today to be a part of this event, as well as it allows our panelists to share their knowledge and wisdom about what they do in the industry. In addition to that, it allows our listeners and viewers today to learn from the knowledge that will be given and turn that into applied knowledge, which applied knowledge is truly power. Josh?
Great, man. Great. All right. So we're going to do a quick introduction now of our panelists. So Ed Jackson, can you start us off by highlighting who you are, but also what you see as the most pressing aspect of insurance for the transportation industry?
Yes, my name is Ed Jackson. I'm with Bass Underwriters. We are a wholesale managing agent broker throughout the U.S. And we represent a myriad of domestic and excess and surplus lines insurance carriers. I think the biggest issue, certainly in the trucking, there's many on the insurance side, but I would say the largest is the last mile trucking, the Amazon distributors, that's become a big part of the industry now because they're all independent contractors, a lot of them. So you have the Amazons, Now Sam's is getting into that, as well as Walmart and several other companies that are in that space. So you're seeing a lot more of those independent contractors, truckers becoming eligible for insurance with that. So we're seeing a lot of that in the marketplace currently.
Excellent. Yeah, it's great to have you here. Thanks. Russ Anno, can you also start us off now by highlighting who you are and what you see as a pressing aspect of the insurance when we're talking transportation industry?
Russell Anno. I've been in the PEO business for in excess of 20 years. And what I'm finding is that a lot of companies are trying to get the least amount of expenses on their insurance premiums to reduce them, and also trying to eliminate all their payroll responsibilities, whether it be taxes, whether it be unemployment issues or child support, or even HR benefits, and trying to get a handle of all those things, since now they're taking on more and more employees.
Great. Awesome. It's great to have you here. Thanks, Russ.
Thank you.
And absolutely. Jerry Dunn and yourself, can you highlight just who you are and some of the pressing aspect of the insurance that you see for the transportation industry?
Well, I work strictly workers' comp in California, in Nevada, and I think the biggest pressing issue for most of the business owners is the new law that went in effect last year, AB5, which changes independent contractors to employees. And so making that change from what's an independent contractor and what's an employee is a big change for everybody. And I think for most of the owners, they want to comply with the law, but it's very expensive if you make that kind of change. And so they want to know, well, what can I do to still stay in business? So that's really it. And then, as Russell said, navigating the laws, because the laws keep changing and the owner tries to comply, but it's impossible to try to stay on top of everything with a small operation.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, it's great to have you here as well, Jerry. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Awesome. So Ed, we'll just go right back to you quickly. And can you talk a little bit about the coverages that your organization provide that's most important right now?
I think there's for us, there's coverages are, range from liability, contingent liability. That's for truckers who may not have enough coverage to get to one, to go to one location where they either the trucking firm or the receiver can purchase coverage to cover the gap in coverage. Also in different, as well as reefer trucks or your auto physical damage needs, the cargo coverage within the trucking industry. Obviously, those things are on either side, either the receiver or the trucking company can pick that up. But we really cover all aspects of trucking liability that's there, whether they're local, intermediate, or long haul trucking. That's in our wheelhouse. But there are just there's a myriad of coverages again that apply to truckers across the country.
Awesome. Great. Thanks. Great information. All right, Russ, I'm going to ask you the same question. So as a PEO specialist, what coverages would you be offering and is most important right now?
Start off with what we did do is we negotiated with My Trucker Pro some certain discounts and programs. One of them is standard in the PEO market. We don't have year-end audits. We have little to no startup fees. Everything is pay as you go. This takes the guesswork out of estimating annual payroll growth. We can provide discounts with excellent proof of loss history. So if you have very good loss history, I can give some phenomenal discounts. Higher paying trucking companies can save 45, 50% on their workers' comp premium. We get to determine the cost of the discounts because we actually own the insurance carrier. Tax payment, wage deductions, child support, unemployment claims, W-2s, all these become the responsibility of the PEO. And clients are provided 2 personal contacts, one that handles their payroll and the other which addresses all their other needs. What we provide for them is that there's no waiting in queue on the phone for a caller number 6, you're next. So it makes it simplified for people and with a personal touch.
Awesome. Yeah, tons of value there for sure. That's really good. Awesome. And then Jerry, I'm asking you the same question. So what coverages are you offering that's most important right now?
Well, again, I only do workers' comp, and some of that does with PEO, some with traditional carriers. The other lines, like the cargo, the liability, I refer over to partners I have, in the business, they help out specialties. But I think the biggest thing is I get involved normally with people who have problems. They've got a high, what they call experience modification, and somehow they don't know how it's gotten there. Might be one claim, might be a lot of claims. So we work sort of a one-on-one with people who've had problems, identify the problems, and try to break down their, reduce their costs for long term. It's not a quick fix by any means, but we try to have a long-lasting relationship. And most of our clients have been with us 20 years or more, and we take care of them. They don't want to change.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, great. Thanks, Jerry. And honestly, Ed, Russ, Jerry, it's great to have you here. As we can tell, you have a vast majority of expertise that I'm excited for us to lean on today. So Derrick, now on to you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Gentlemen, again, I would like to thank you for touching on those very important key points and everything and sharing a little bit about your corporations. Jerry, I noticed one thing. I took a peep at your website, and something that actually stuck out to me. It said, we want you to be more than a client. We want you to become a friend who knows someone, always has your back, and always looking out for you and your employees. So the commonality I showed that you all share with your businesses is you're big about building relationships. And I personally believe that is the primary key to being successful in business and creating a win-win situation for yourself, as well as for your clients and customers. So moving on to that, I do have some questions for you. I'll let you shine, all of y'all shine and share your expertise. So the first question I do have for you, and anyone can take a stab at this, is why is your insurance so competitive?
Take a stab at that.
Okay.
And it'll be two answers.
Okay.
So first, the PEO owns their insurance carrier, and they determine the risk and the pricing and any discounts for each individual client because they own the insurance carrier. Secondly, processing payroll and providing HR services provided at lower cost due to the PEO's payroll volume. Last year, the company's gross revenue was in excess of $2 billion. So when you compare that to a company that has a gross revenue, let's say of $100 million, and most of your trucking companies don't, they can't process payroll for the cost of what I can based upon the volume. They can't get the discounts on their workers' comp, and that's solely based upon the volume that we do. So we're going to pass that savings back to the clients, so they'll be able to share in the discounts that we have.
Fantastic. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, are you full coverage, or do I need to get a certain type of insurance from another agency, you know, something to kind of complete the pie, or do you cover everything?
As if that question is directed to me, we provide the workers' compensation. And again, as I said, taxes, wage deductions, child support. We don't provide the general liability or any other trucker insurance. That would be referred over to another agency to handle those type of situations, such as ed. Or if it's something where we can't meet the workers' company, then it would be, you know, that would be something that Jerry would be able to handle, because we do have minimums.
Okay. All right. Ed or Jerry, would you like to comment on it?
I can jump in that. I think the biggest thing that we would have to offer is, from a competitive standpoint, is we have a myriad of companies, from domestic carriers like the IATs, the Northfields, the standard, what you would know as domestic carriers, and we have the Lloyd's of London, which would be the non-admitted type of companies that actually will cover motor truck cargo. They'll cover the auto physical damage. They'll cover the trucker legal liability, things like that. So they're the one competitive advantage, I would say, from our standpoint, from our business. We're called the managing general agent. So we represent, you know, probably over 300 companies at our disposal. So with 300 companies, we have probably 50 or so that are trucking related, and we can use those companies, whether it's for a trucking liability or a physical damage or a motor truck cargo, and trying to find the best prices and terms for all those throughout that. We have a single office that kind of handles most of our trucking. We have a young lady from Carolina Casualty that used to work for them for about 20 years. So we have an office of about 25 people that only do trucking liability and garage type of operations.
Wow. Okay. Jerry, did you have anything you want to speak on?
Yeah, I can tell you what we do, because as I told you, when it comes to the other lines like liability and physical damage, we refer that to the department of somebody like Ed. But what we do is that we do act as a consultant at that point, and it's kind of nice because you have some educated eyes looking at the policy. We'll evaluate the policy for the client and show them ways that maybe you might cut coverage here or add coverage here, make sure that they have the right coverage and they're not paying too much money. So that's just an added service that we do. And again, since we have nothing in it, we're not getting getting commissions on it. There's nothing to us to try to sell you one way or the other. It gives you a fair appraisal.
Got you. Yeah, thank you so much, gentlemen. So do you all take anybody? Can anybody enroll, or is there certain type of restrictions or anything of that nature?
Well, I can tell you from my standpoint, if somebody comes to me and says, I want the cheapest price, that's all I want, I'm going to ask them to go someplace else because you can always find a cheaper price.
Right.
If somebody says, I want help to be able to run my business, to keep my insurance under control, so I'm not working for the insurance company, but I need somebody's help, I'll help anybody, from that standpoint. That's why I go on.
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
I agree. One of the things, everybody, obviously, we love to take clients with great loss history, but we're also willing to work with companies. Let's say a company has a shock loss. As an example, let's say a company had $25,000 a year in premium, and for 3 years they paid out $75,000, but then they had a shock loss with $75,000. Their premium to claim ratio is equal. It's 1-to-1. So what we can do is we can actually go further beyond that 3-year period. Let's say we go back and the client is able to provide 7 years of good loss history. Well, at that point, I've got a total of $175,000 in premium compared to a $75,000 claim. And the underwriters will look at that in a very favorable way and be able to discount it more than what the other companies are able to. So there's just different unique ways of attacking problems, and that's what we specialize in.
Okay. All right. So again, this is up to anybody. So is it really hard to qualify for low rates? Is it? Anybody can answer.
No, it's not. Each case is independent, and keep in mind we own the insurance company, so we get to determine the risk.
Oh, okay.
From our standpoint, from the property and casualty side of the trucking, for us, I think the biggest part of the the equation is there's different companies that represent different type of truckers, like whether if it's intermediate and local, long haul, there could be high risk. Obviously, if you're depending on what you're carrying, if you're carrying explosives or if you're carrying, strawberries or bananas, there's a little difference in pricing, and there's different companies that actually handle those type of risks. So maybe a Lloyd's of London is going to handle the more difficult risk than a domestic carrier. They may not be suited to handle those or want to take that risk. So there are different companies that handle different classes of risk, and with that, you just have to determine where they fit in your company portfolio.
Right. I know personally, I've always wondered about like fuel trucks, how are they classified? Where does that fall in that? Because I know that has to be a tremendous in a big risk category,
There are specialty companies that do that. We have, they're, and especially in trucking, there's a lot of regulation regarding fuel and those type of, high hazard materials and gas, fuel, you name it. They're companies that specialize in that. So there are, across the country with Exxon, I have a buddy that runs part of the Exxon out of Houston. And that's a big part of what they do too, and they have to make sure that their providers have that coverage in place.
Oh, okay, fantastic. That's good to know. So, can an association buy insurance for its members and get a better price? Just anybody can answer.
I'll run on this one. My Trucker Pro members are entitled to discounts and lower qualifications.
Okay.
So we've actually put a program together specifically for My Trucker Pro.
Awesome.
Yeah, the association can't buy the insurance and resell it, to the members. But what they can do is, if they have a large group of people, similar kind, they have some bargaining power. That way, they can go to a carrier, to an underwriter, and say, "Hey, we've got 10 clients, or we've got 25 clients. That we can't guarantee you everybody, but this will influence where it'll go." And they can work, we work programs that way. But so it works out real good.
I would agree with Jerry. I think that's a big part of what we're able to do. If you're able to put together like a My Trucker Pro program that people are involved with, the more risk you have, the better rates you're going to get. So I think a platform such as My Trucker Pro has a great opportunity to have a big, a big say in their, with their members of how well they can get insurance pricing and terms by saying, hey, we're a member of a large group, and large numbers obviously beat small numbers when it comes to insurance, because they're looking for, disbursement of losses and claims throughout a larger people group than just one single driver.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one more aspect to that. And that's like with My Trucker Pro, when you go to an underwriter, you have a lot of safety programs that you give to your members. That means that your members tend to be safer members and more reliable, so you're going to have less losses. So that also comes into effect when you come to an underwriter.
Oh, okay. All right, well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Great answers. I really do appreciate that. I'm going to pass the mic over to Josh.
Yeah, really good information. And I wanted to ask then, so when we're talking pricing, if an individual carrier that had multiple power units and people, the more they are getting insured, would that equate to cheaper insurance premiums? And I also like the My Trucker Pro program. I think that's a huge necessity as our industry continues to navigate. But yeah, I just wanted to ask that kind of an elaboration.
To answer your question,
Go ahead,
yes,
Terry.
yeah, the larger you are, you'll probably get better pricing. That's as long as you also have better losses. Just because you're big doesn't mean you're really good. If you're paying out $100,000 in premium, but you're paying out $200,000 in losses, well, nobody wants that. So yeah, but usually, yeah, you're right. If you have more vehicles, you're probably going to be a little better pricing than a guy that's only got 2 vehicles.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Russ, sorry, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, I think from my standpoint, yeah, if you have large numbers, you can certainly better understand your risk, and obviously from an insurance perspective, it makes it that much easier to determine, instead of one person, one risk, if you have 100 or 1,000 in that pool, you're going to have theoretically you have an average of what the losses are going to be with 1,000 versus 1 or 10 or 100. So it certainly helps out the insurance process when you have a good actuarial numbers to show a carrier.
Yeah, it's really good information. And it's really, especially for our listeners right now. So I appreciate that. So in regards to employee leasing programs, do you offer these? And is it possible for someone to place their employee or a driver into a leasing program?
Yes, you can place your employees and drivers in. We do have minimums. Just like standalone policies will have a minimum on amount of payroll. You have a one-man company, I would think, and Jerry would probably concur with this, is that you would end up in the state pool. But typically 5 to 8 employees in the employee leasing market would generate somewhere of a payroll on the low side of $30,000 to $45,000 a year, would cover the minimum in workers' comp premium. In California.
Good. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Not a problem. In other states, it would be less. And so, but that would be our maximum across the board.
That's awesome. And Jerry, you were going to elaborate on that too?
No, Russell and I talked about this, and I actually refer my employee leasing type situations a lot to Russell, because he's more of an expert in that area than I am. So.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really good information, guys. Appreciate that. So how about for benefits programs? Are you able as an employer to control what benefits are actually utilized?
Employee leasing company allows the employers to control what they want. If they want to have benefits such as a 401k, health insurance, dental programs, all those are applicable. We'll implement any type of programs like a Section 125 pre-tax, the benefits for the health that's happening. So yeah, benefits are available, and you can either outsource it and bring your benefits to the table, or use the employee leasing company's benefits. So we'll give you that option.
Great. I appreciate that. And then how about from payments for leased employees? How does that work? Making the payment?
Everything is payroll driven. And It's basically based upon how your payroll period is running. So if you're running a weekly payroll, if you're running a bi-weekly payroll, your cost of your comp, your taxes, and your fees are all based upon the payroll that you're paying your employees.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Yeah. And again, just thank you so much for your guys' just insights and leadership in this space. Appreciate it. And Derrick, I know that you have a couple more questions that you're going to ask.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Josh. Appreciate it. Gentlemen, like I say, anyone can answer. How do you handle employee bonuses with lease employees?
As the leased employee, the bonuses and payments will apply any discounts that are legally applicable and that can be applied. So generally it's taken in consideration as a payment or a wage. But if we can legally change that to some type of a bonus, a Christmas bonus, we'll discount costs on your admin fees, etc.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yes, sir. Well, look like we have a question here by Brian, I believe. Thank you so much, Brian, for sending the question in. Look like the question says, can we set a minimum qualification to keep rates low and standards high?
Minimum qualification keeps rates low and standards high. I would say we do have a minimum qualification, your 4 to 5 employees. And we are looking for good loss history, and we're looking for clients that have safety programs that are actually taking, that are interested in trying to keep their employees happy and keep their claims down. So that's the answer would be, we can provide bigger discounts to the clients that keep their losses to a minimum.
Okay. Awesome. Anyone else would like to take a stab at it? All right.
From our standpoint, yeah, I mean, it's very similar from the leasing side to the liability side on the autos. Obviously, based on driving record, driving performance, safety, protocol that you have for a carrier, all those things are make a big difference in how a carrier is looking at you as a customer, as well as an independent contractor, or as a company, whether it's 3, 5, 10 vehicles, doesn't matter. They're looking at all the things that you're doing to be proactively be responsible as a trucking company, a trucking driver. So those things are all important, and the better that you can do on all those fronts, the better rates and terms you'll get.
Awesome. Well, Brian states that's what I was looking for. Thanks. And thank you, Brian, for sending in that question. We appreciate that. All right. So the next question we have, do you have to have, or do you do background checks and confirm lease employees have all the paperwork?
So the answer to that is yes. And this will include e-verify states and when it's required. We'll provide discounts if clients want more of a comprehensive background check. Let's say they're an industry such as security guards or armed guards or something to this point, and you'll have to pay the additional fees for that type of background check. But we usually cross-reference what our internal software is going to allow us to do also. So this way we can see if employees have been with us, and if it's a professional employee, how many times has he worked with somebody and how many times has this guy submitted claims? So, okay. But for more comprehensive, then you'll have to pay additional fees.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Ed or Jerry, anyone else want to tap in on that one?
No, doing a background check for every employer should do that before they hire somebody. I know they get really, tied up with time, and it's better to avoid a problem than trying to get rid of it afterwards. And so take time, ask for references, call the previous employer, You know, most people collect the information, but it just sits on the desk. They don't do anything with it. So take the time to do it.
Very good advice.
Yes, yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you so much. So how often do I pay for a lease employee?
That's still based on payroll cycle.
Payroll
So how often you process your payroll, your fees are all inclusive. So this will include all the taxes, all the comp and all the fees, everything. So this way, at the end of the year, you're not going to deal with an audit. And that's one of the biggest issues a lot of clients have. They didn't anticipate to double their amount of payroll they have at the end of the year. So they, the clients will go out, oh, I bought some new trucks, but then find out, oh, I still owe that insurance carrier $50,000 because I didn't pay that additional premium that I should have been paying.
Right. Okay. Good information. Go ahead, Jerry. Were you about to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with Russell. You know, it's based on payroll, like workers' comp. So if you have, $100,000 payroll, you pay a set fee for that, and $10,000 set for that. That's why they have audits. As in Russell's situation, you pay as you go, and you pay your taxes at the same time. So there's some sort of verification that is true payroll, But there's also could be a surprise audit, and you got to play by the rules.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Thank you. So how does a lease employee work with the gig law?
Same as the workers' comp, standard workers' comp policies. There is no difference. And if you'd like to expand on that, Jerry, you can, or Ed.
No, not really.
You guys are the experts in that.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. One more question. How long does it take to get signed up?
In the employee leasing industry, it takes about 24 hours to get underwriting approval. The rest is all dependent on how long the client takes to return the documentation to us. So if they get it back to us right away, we'll have it approved right away. If they sit on it, and I have this happen all the time, a week goes by, 10 days go by, and then all of a sudden everything's coming in. Hey, I needed it yesterday. Well, yesterday was yesterday. So get it to us right away. We'll have everything processed right away.
Awesome.
Casualty side, I would say from our standpoint is if you have all the information and we were able to process a quote, we can get it instantly. So if you have all the information and it's documented information that we need, the carrier will bind a policy as soon as you have all that information and we have a quote available to you. Typically a quote is a bindable quote, provided there's no other information required, certainly in the casualty space, the trucking liability, the physical damage, the motor truck cargo end of the spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah, to add on to what Ed said, you got to put yourself in the shoes of the underwriter. You say you need something yesterday, they're going to say, well, why are you waiting for the last minute? Is this the way you run your business, the last minute thing? You're always trying to put out fires. That makes me kind of scary because the liability here, especially in a liability case, could be millions of dollars. So you want to find out what kind of losses they've had. You want to take your time to look at it. It's like finding a wife, not just a date. So that's what you got. So take your time to do it. More time, better.
Sure. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for answering that. And I do have another question that came in. And the question is, let's see, it looks like it says we are a consultancy in Canada. If the trucking company employs telematics, i.e. GPS cameras in their fleet, are they entitled to premium discounts? If you'd like, I can read it again.
I think that probably fall into my category as far as the trucking liability insurance, and certainly that's another way to mitigate losses, right? It's the safety protocol. Any of that information, a lot of carriers now require some of that, depending on what type of trucking, vehicles you're using, what are you hauling, all those things. So the more telematics, cameras, anything you can have that will certainly GPS that will keep the truck located, how long it's been driving, where it's staying overnight. All those things are very important to the trucking insurance carriers in particular. So those are very important, and they do give discounts for that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to the consultancy in Canada for the question as well. Really do appreciate it. All right, Josh, I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
Yeah, great job. Great information. So another question that popped up is there a requirement for a deposit, or are there upfront costs? And I'm assuming it's to get insurance and coverage.
My industry, it's minimal. It's as low as $695 to set up. And then it would be all pay as you go. And the standard market is different, and depending on the rest of the insurance, but Jerry and Ed be able to elaborate more.
Yeah.
You go first, Jerry?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, yeah, for my space, it's really carrier based. If typically in a motor truck cargo, 20 to 25% is the minimum down. They require that due to for a lot of reasons based on trucking in general. So typically there is a down payment, I would say between 20 and 25% that's required at the outset of a policy, whether it's a trucking liability policy, whether it's a motor truck cargo or auto physical damage type of coverage that's available. You can finance those things as well. So there are premium financing throughout the industry that will help offset some of that as well.
Yeah, on the workers' comp, it's generally 10% as a deposit. Your credit comes into play too. If you have bad credit, they might want 20%, 50% in some cases upfront if you really have bad credit. But generally 10%, and then there's the pay as you go programs that there's no deposit and you pay each month. At the same time, you got to make sure all of your employees are listed, because even though you're paying later, if you don't have an employee listed and it's a pay as you go, there may not be coverage for the employee.
Really good information. And David, that's a really good question and great answers, guys. Appreciate that, because I think that's always the lingering question is how much is it going to cost? So appreciate that. And I do know we have another question from our friend Chris Narat. Would a company's health insurance premiums cost less if their drivers were in a lower risk category?
I'll be happy to answer that. That generally goes on age. You know, when you talk about the employee benefits, a single male is going to pay less than a fellow that's 40 years old and has 4 kids. You know, so it really depends on your status, or if you're single, or you're married, and what's your age group. Those are the big drivers for that, and your health, of course.
Yeah, it's really good information, Jerry. And I know Chris owns a fitness company that helps professional drivers with their health. So I can see where he's coming from with that. So I appreciate that. And was there any other answers for those 2 questions, or are we okay? All right.
Yeah, I would say the only thing, jumping onto what Jerry said, really it's the age of the group typically and what the makeup is. Obviously, if it's young males, it's going to be less expensive than older or young females. It's just the way of the of health insurance. And the difference is on life insurance side, it's a lot cheaper for young females than it is males, because we typically die a lot faster.
Awesome. Yeah, really good information. So I appreciate that. And I do believe that covers all of the questions in the chat. So back to you, Derrick.
Thank you so much, Josh. I appreciate it. So gentlemen, is there any type of takeaway points that you would like to leave our audience with?
Jump in. I think the biggest thing is, look for your options that you have, whether it's in the leasing side, the workers' comp side, or the trucking liability side. I think there's always a lot of options, and I think exploring those options, looking for some alternatives in your space to make sure you're getting the discounts that you're looking for, you're getting the price and terms that you're looking for. Those are very important throughout the trucking space. And I think a company like My Trucker Pro putting together an association, a group is a great start for a lot of the truckers where they can get some information. It allows them to maybe shop the market without doing a lot of work because it's there for them. I think that's very important and something they should all take advantage of.
Yeah, and there's one other thing, I think as a buyer, everybody asks about the price, but I think it's very important. If I have an accident, who handles my claim? Who's doing this? Is this somebody, do I call somebody in the United States? Do I call somebody in India? Is this going to be rerouted to somebody else? Who's my contact person? And then find out, look online, see how they handle their claims, what people have to respond to them, because you can pay, $1,000, pay $10,000, but neither one will matter if you have somebody that's not backing you up.
Doesn't take long to get price comparisons to see if you can save some money. And saving money on insurance is one of the favorite things people like to do.
Yes, indeed. I know it is for me.
For all of us.
Yes, indeed. Yes, sir. Well, Ed, Russ, Jerry, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you taking the time, answering the questions and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us all. Josh, I appreciate you as well. Andy, Jack, you all have been wonderful. I appreciate all the hard work that's went into all of this. It's definitely turned out to be a wonderful event. And I would like to turn this over and pass the mic to Jack.
Thanks, Derrick.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say a huge thank you to our hosts, Josh and Derrick. I'd encourage you to go check out their podcasts and the work that they're doing for the industry. It's been really great working with them on this project, and we've also worked on other projects with them. So huge shout out to them. I'd like to say a big thank you to Ed, Russ, and Jerry. We're excited to be working with them. I just put a link in the chat that will take you to a form to get a quote from them. This link will also go out in a post-event email, and then it's going to be posted on our website soon. So you don't have to follow it today. And if you have more questions that weren't answered by this event, please put those in. There's going to be a survey after the event. And you can also email me and I'll put my email in the chat as well. We'll be posting the recording of this event on our YouTube channel, and it'll also go onto Josh and Derrick's channels in various forms as well. So if you missed something or you want to share it with someone, please do so. And you'll be able to find that by going to our website, mytruckerpro.com. I'd like to thank everyone who joined today and listened in and made this event possible. And lastly, if you haven't joined the MyTruckerPro platform, I'd encourage you to do so. It's free to use, and sign up at go.mytruckerpro.com. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Great work.